Well, if you're an optimist, it was a good week for you with the Sharks. If you're a realist, it was a bad week because now the optimists have hope. Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Hope you guys had a great weekend. We're here for you Sunday night. Hopefully you set your clocks an hour ahead early this morning. Welcome to the Pucknologists Show 155 here on Teal Town, USA. The always unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, and commercial-free Sharks podcast. This time around, we're going to talk about two Sharks games played this week. Home and home versus LA. The return of Erik Karlsson, San Jose Barracuda announcements, and more, including a giveaway. We have an announcement. But first, if you please, remember to subscribe and follow us on the social media. And if you want to throw something in our Venmo tip jar to make sure that this stays a commercial-free podcast, because nobody wants to hear us crowbar in 2 minutes of trimming your male bush. You know what I mean? Jerk? We don't want to talk about that, right? I would prefer not to.
Yeah, I mean, the male bush is kind of a different thing. A normal bush, out on the sidewalk, that's something else entirely.
Absolutely. So, you want to support the show, you can use that super chat option during the live show or hit us up on Venmo at TealTown USA. And we thank you so much for that. And give this video a thumbs up and add your comment below if you weren't able to join us live. So, 2 wins. Can we play LA every game?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, God damn it, I got to break myself of that habit. I am not a member of the team.
You're not?
They keep telling me. I show up and they won't play me. I feel like Balsers on the power play.
Well, I was gonna say I kind of feel like some nights if they put you on the fourth line, it wouldn't be that much of a difference.
That's all I'm saying. Boy, 2 games this week. Sharks go 2-0 through 58 games. The Sharks 26, 25, and 7, 59 points. They are 7th in the Pac Div, 7th in the wild card, 9 points out of both. Over the last 10, they've gone 4, 4, and 2. Over the last 5, they've gone 2, 2, and 1. Talk about the picture of consistency. And last I checked, 6, 6, and 3 in divisional games. Thank you, LA. Figure this out for me. How is it that the Sharks are like undefeated versus the top 2 teams in the division, yet 1 and 2 against Seattle? Somebody enlighten me. I can't figure it out. My predictions, 1 for 2. I thought they were going to win 1, lose 1. But 58 games, I had them at 56 points. They're at 59, so they're actually trending up. We'll see what happens. But what do we take from the 2 games versus LA? Well, look, they had a good fight, a good comeback, or they fought to come back after pissing away a lead and giving up a shorthanded goal that Erik Karlsson called a clusterfuck in the postgame that actually went out on the broadcast.
Nice.
So clearly the boys not working with a 7-second delay over there.
That's the content we like to see.
That's all I'm saying. Then you get LA at home and curb stomp them 5-0. Again, why can't the Sharks play LA every game? Why in the hell can't the Sharks play in LA on a Saturday night? Well, I'm going to make that the giveaway question at some point. So,
I mean, you think about it, right? Like LA on a Saturday night, you want to do something exciting. The Sharks are not that.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on. Just like once every 5 years would be nice.
Oh, sure.
I mean, jeez. It's like they always play here on a Saturday. We never play there. God damn it, the Sharks never play there on a Saturday. So, second meeting of the season. You remember the last time out, Timo Meier made franchise history, putting up 5 goals on MLK Day. Karlsson and Magna return. Schmidt goes to the IR. Sachenko gets his first NHL start. And did the jerk bump work? I think it did.
Yeah, evidently. It was my they saw me in the crowd and they said, "Damn it, we got to come back for this guy."
That's what I'm saying, dude. Oh, let's hit up a real quick one in the chat real fast from the Grease saying, is it wrong that I'm going to wear a Kane San Jose jersey to the game in Edmonton next Thursday? My response to that is, do you?
Yeah.
You know? Let's see here. Middleton was a game-time decision. He did end up playing, thankfully. And who are your scratches? VL, Merkley, because reasons. And Dzingel. We all know what happened shortly afterwards. Sharks grabbed 2 of their goals on the power play. They go perfect yet again on the PK, but again, they did give up that clusterfuck shorty. Burns and EK65 on the power play together actually worked. Do you believe it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem earlier in the season was they were trying to have, you know, it seemed to me like they were trying to have 2 quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they've let Burns, at least when they're out there together, they've let Burns kind of just run the show up top by the blue line on his own, and they've actually had Karlsson, you know, sliding down towards the faceoff dot and being a lot more mobile. And I think personally,
a bit of a rover.
Yeah, and I think that suits Karlsson because, you know, for all that's said about how well he skates backwards, he skates forwards pretty well, and his passing is kind of incredible. You know, he can feather a pass, you know, anywhere. It doesn't matter if somebody's standing in his way or not.
No doubt.
And clearly it worked. I mean, 2 power play goals, you know, this past Thursday, 2 power play goals on Saturday. So I don't know, something's working.
Yeah, it seems to be. Who knew that Erik Karlsson was the key to unlock the power play?
Yeah. Everybody but you, evidently.
I was going to say, you get a power play quarterback, and suddenly the power play starts working. What a concept!
It's amazing. Hey, did you know that your best players need to be your best players? Have you heard that?
I've heard that somewhere. I wish I could remember where. Pepsi Man in the chat saying, if only Karlsson was healthy all year and Hill wasn't Martin Jones every other game.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's a lot of if onlys for this year, right?
Oh, dude. Why scratch Merkley in this one? Well, Karlsson came back. And
which
I guess we needed
I understand. On some level, I understand. You know, like I would like Merkley to keep getting games, but at least Karlsson's back. At least it's not a situation where it's like, yeah, we're gonna scratch Merkley because, you know, dude.
Because we feel like we want to take another look at Hataka.
Yeah, we picked up Dude Dudington off waivers, and you know, we really like the way he chips the puck off the glass. So
a player called Hataka. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Hataka. But Hertl looked much better. That dude needed to get off the schneid. Like
yeah, first goal since January 29th.
Yeah, like, dear Lord. And, you know, coincidentally, a week away from the deadline, Hertl heats up.
Shocker. Wonder what that means.
Yeah. But EK65, you know, he'd been out for like, 5-6 weeks. So comes in, looks great. Missed 15 games, but he throws up 2 apples. Noticeably shied away from contact, I thought. But that's kind of Karlsson's game.
But the thing is, the thing about Karlsson is he's so crafty. Like he can essentially, like if somebody's trying to run him over, like he's crafty enough to finesse around them.
Yeah. But Hertl, as you know, would win it in OT. But I gotta say, you know, EK throwing up those 2 apples early, and it's like, oh, dude, lawn's looking good, my friend.
Yeah, dude, it's coming back. It's making, you know, it was looking critical there for a while, but it's you know, it's coming back.
Yeah, it's looking nice there. So the interesting thing in this one, though, you know, Couture and Meyer both -3 on this. You're kind of like, really? -3 for those guys? But doesn't matter. Got the win.
But you know what? I still ultimately think that as much as Hertl and Meyer together is fun, like really fun, I still think the Sharks are a better team when they're on different lines. Because Hertl has shown, you know, think about how many players Hertl has been on a line with this year, right? Meyer, Barabanov, Balsers, Gregor, Halbgewachs, Dahlin, like Dzingel, you know, like it's and there's nothing, like no difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the funny thing. Hertl hasn't scored since January 29th. For everybody going, when do we get Dzingel again?
Yeah, right. And, you know, Hertl has shown he can play with anybody. And I think, Couture and Meyer, like you'd like them to be able to play with anybody as well, but at the same time, if two guys are going to click together, keep them together, And I think I'm glad that, specifically on Saturday's game, I'm glad that Bob went back with them and Dahlin together, because I think that line does things well together.
No, and I dig me some Hertl with the Killer Bees.
Yeah, man.
So the next game, of course, Saturday night, yesterday, Sharks, LA, 5-0 victory, third meeting of the season. Despite the overwhelming popularity between both players and the fans last season for there to be series where you play the same team back-to-back, this is the only time the Sharks do it the entire season. So stupid.
Real quick, something that actually just came to mind. So you mentioned the Killer Bees, and we have to mention it. Barabanov, beautiful tying goal on Thursday. It was on the side of the ice that we were sitting on, was on that side, so got to see everything as it was happening. 6 of his 9 goals are high value this year.
Mm-hmm.
I there are a lot of people who wishes he would score more. I'm one of those people, but when he scores, it means something. You know what I mean? And he's getting a lot of huge goals. He's got a couple game winners, game tires. He's doing stuff on the power play. So, should he and the Sharks not be able to come to terms, I think a certain handful of cap-strapped cup teams might want to give him a call.
Dude, I swear to God, I think just every day for you up until next Monday, it's just going to announce the Barabanov extension, you cowards.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Announce the extension or announce the trade, but don't not trade him and not sign him.
Yeah, shit, or get off the pot. Come on, bro.
I mean, I'm just saying, like I said, I look at Tampa Bay, I look at Vegas, I look at Carolina. If you can pick up a second-line winger for making $1 million, like, to me, that's an easy decision. You don't even think twice about it.
I know. Lost in the return of Karlsson and the comeback with Hertl finally getting that wraparound was the fact that Sachenko got his first NHL win.
Hell yeah. And he was, I don't know if you saw his celebration afterwards. He was pumped.
Oh, how could you not be?
Yeah.
Good on him. Good for him. It's just, things you love to see, because Sachenko was not doing well with the CUDA.
No kidding.
So,
and I thought he looked, especially in that game on Thursday, there were multiple moments where the Sharks were under siege a bit, and Sachenko was the difference for them. He held them in it, and so that can't be stated enough. I think it's so weird, right? You see players who they're okay in the minor league, right? And then they come up to the NHL, and even though it's a better league, and so theoretically it should be harder, they somehow play better,
Absolutely. So with the 5-0 curb stomping, we see Merkley sent down the day before because reasons. Hill returns from the IR and just throws up a shutty.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, things you like to see. Although things Jerk does not like to see is Noah Gregor getting a healthy scratch.
Yeah, I didn't understand that, and Bob kind of threw the egg on his own face. He said, "Well, we don't think Noah Gregor works in a bottom 6 role," and it's like, wonder what would happen if you played him in a top 6 role. I mean,
well, they have.
I know, but and I mean, dude, we've been talking about it all year. Like this podcast likes Rudolph Balcers, but if you were to do like Gregor up with Hertl and Barabanov, I think that line as a whole might have more jump,
Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
It is what it is. In this one, just a couple of fun notes. I mean, Timo takes a phantom high stick. I got it. It should have been interference, not a high stick. Dude, Timo dressed that one up, bro.
Well, the only thing that I could think is, okay, maybe he flinched a little bit. But even then, you're right. There was no contact there.
Yeah, like if I would have had the time when I was doing the GIF of that, like I was about ready to lay the text underneath it. It's like, for your consideration, the Academy. L.A. lost Dustin Brown in this one. Oh no. Anyway, and what's the other guy's name?
Matt Roy.
Yeah, so they lost it. Look, the Sharks took advantage of a depleted Kings team as much as they had been my Kings for a lot of this season and were rolling hard. The injury bug has gotten them right now.
Yeah, dude, they've lost in the last 5 games. They've lost 7 players.
Jeez.
Like Athanasiou scored against the Sharks on Thursday, and then at some point got injured and didn't play on Saturday.
God, dude, the LA is at that point where somebody's gonna like stub their toe getting out of a car and be out for 2 weeks.
Well, and it makes me wonder. We kind of talked about it last week. You know, I don't remember if it was the podcast or it was Discord, but we definitely talked about it. Where if you're LA, what do you do, right? And I'm looking at these injuries. I don't know how they don't. I don't know how they don't trade for a defenseman. Like,
right?
Doughty is out. Sean Walker is out. Edler is out. I mean, that's 3 of their top 6 right there that are hurt.
Mm-hmm. Pepsi Man. Gregor does a lot of things right. He just can't finish. No, he's he is the blue balls for the Sharks right now. Just can't finish.
Dude, imagine if scoring chances were worth the same as goals.
Oh, dude, he'd be killing. He'd be right up there with Meyer and Hertl. Just saying. So this, look, we always follow it. Tickets sold in this one, 13,821. Again, that's sold, not used, but pretty decent. Saturday, no giveaway, but against LA. So look, perhaps also the mandates have come down, so perhaps we start to see a little bit of an uptick even as we get closer to that little E showing up next to the Sharks on the standings. At least that is a good sign. But, oh, dude. Excuse me. Goddamn Hedekin, dude. Well, let's get the other stuff out of the way. Like in this one, Nieto and Dahlin got off the schneid, which was nice. Hertl on the power play pots, too. Gadjevic had one waved off for goalie interference, and it was goalie interference. But you had to feel, it's like, oh, man, like, you wanted to see him get that, right?
Yeah, I thought, and I've been, I don't want to say I've been critical of him all year, but I've been very quizzical about him. Just like, why are you here, right?
What is it that you do here?
But I think the last 2 weeks, I thought he's had some jump in his game, and I thought he's played well. So it would have been nice to see him get rewarded.
Yeah, and so I don't know if this is going to turn into a weekly segment. It might. But here's our heady call from the week.
Oh, Jesus.
How did I know you were going to throw a desert dog in there?
When you got a chance, Hetty, you got to take it.
You just got to take it, don't you?
Got to make the people happy.
You do. Especially,
I'm a giver.
Yeah.
Whatever Randy says, I'm just going to agree with it. Oh, man.
So
give me the Swayman quote again.
Oh, man, it's oh man, I don't want to say it wrong because that'll sully the point, but it's basically like,
it was like
Swayman hasn't been tested often, but he got tested there and he passed the test. It's like we get it, test.
Yeah, dude, so, it's gonna be a new segment where it's just like this week's headyism.
So speaking of things.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt real quick, but just seeing that Austin Matthews is going to have a hearing tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he cross-checked somebody.
Yeah, Rasmus Dahlin.
So this podcast, we're all about the numbers on this podcast.
Well, you got their numbers?
I was doing a bit of math. If Noah Gregor, first of all, Noah Gregor's 5th on the team in shots on goal this year, which is already on that metric alone is impressive. If Noah Gregor had capitalized on the same percentage of shots that Jonathan Dahlin has, Noah Gregor would have 13 goals this year.
Dear Lord.
13 goals, and that's only in 41 games played. That's if you map that out over a full season, that's 26 goals right there for Noah Gregor. Like I feel like for the last 3 years we've been saying just wait, right? But man, like 2.9 shooting percentage for Noah Gregor, like that is historically bad, historically unlucky. Like, imagine guy is like shooting at an average pace. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude.
Like, and it makes me want to say, like, just wait,
Yeah, it's again. But I just go back to the players like Torrey Mitchell or Matt Nieto, or that just had that incredible speed, but just lacked the ability to finish. It's just
right.
Even Jeff Friesen back in the day, who had some ludicrous speed, towards the end of his tenure in Teal, dude, I don't know how many times that cat would catch a breakaway and just center mass, just drill the goalie right in the crest.
Well, I feel like with a lot of players, it's either, they're really good at, they're really good skaters, but they have hands of stone, or they're super crafty with a stick in their hand, but they're like a traffic cone, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's always one or the other, and that's what makes players like Connor McDavid so impressive, is that they, Connor McDavid is so good at both.
Yeah, he's playing the game at another level. So anyway, let's get to some fun stuff. Okay. People on social media asking where Danny Miller is.
Dude, Jonathan Becker literally posted that like a week ago?
Longer than that, dude. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Who's the guy that's in there? Dude, it's Ted Ramey. Do you not listen to the Sharks Audio Network?
Well, but even then, who's the guy? It was a woman last night. Like,
well, I mean, but when Danny first left.
Oh, I got
And
you.
then, when they brought in, I believe her name is Amelia something from the Oakland A's, everybody's going, who's this and blah blah blah, and I will say that she's catching a lot of flack for her call, and it's just, look, I hate to say it, but that sound system at the tank, it's just not tuned properly, and so if you don't have a lower register voice, if you have a higher register, it's piercing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel bad for the girl, because when she's doing the A's, she's fine, but it's because the system is tuned better.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. Either way, it's like, just it's mind-numbing to me sometimes where I see the same question asked on whether it's Facebook or whatever. Who's this person or whatever? Oh, you mean this question that was asked and answered 7 days ago? Ugh.
And that's the thing. That's not even necessarily a plug for our podcast. Like, any podcast would tell you that.
Thank you. Jeez. So what did we learn this week? Look, EK did come out before these games and kind of said he was a little concerned about the roadmap that the Sharks are on, and it's kind of like he's concerned that there is no roadmap. Like, they need to figure out what they want to do.
Well, that's something that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where
again, we're usually pretty first to the party.
But specifically with, when we were saying, like, okay, so you get Hertl signed, you need to have, like, you need to figure out what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, if you trade away Hertl, like, that needs to be the first domino. If you re-sign Hertl, there needs to be more of an effort than there's been in the last 3 years to build a good team. And Karlsson basically came out and said that, like, we need to, I believe, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but I believe part of his quote was, we need to pick a direction.
Mm-hmm.
And people are gonna say, oh my God, Karlsson, you should be grateful because you're getting paid and all this stuff. But it's like, let's take a step back and think about it. A good player making good money, why would they want to be on a bad team? That goes for any player.
Again, I don't know if you've heard that before, but I have heard that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't like, and we always talk about in this podcast prioritizing happiness over money. We talk about it all the time, but I've never heard of a player prioritizing happiness and losing over money.
Just saying. So anyway, we're gonna learn a lot this week, kids. Or at the very least, we're gonna learn at least a little bit of where the compass is pointing come noon on Monday.
And word on
next
the
Monday.
street.
I don't want to be confused. Next Monday,
week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Word on the street is that the Sharks are expecting an answer from Hertl's camp by Wednesday or Thursday. That was in The Athletic this morning.
Oh boy.
So I don't want to say that that's I don't want to say if there's no extension by Thursday, then it's not happening. I don't want to say that, but I kind of think that's the Sharks' hopes.
And it's the other thing that probably doesn't help things is that it's a full docket this week. They got 4 games between now and next Sunday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because, for the most part, the GM, the GM is at every home game, and then they'll travel. I want to say they travel for most road games, maybe even all road games. I wouldn't be surprised if, this week we don't really hear from Joe Will at all.
Well, because it's, what are we hosting Florida, then at LA, then hosting Colorado, hosting Arizona. So they're not,
At least they're close, right?
Yeah, it's all here. So, with a quick jaunt down to LA. So
I still think, you never know, especially like teams coming into town, like that always seems to grease the wheel. You remember a couple years ago when the Sharks traded for Nyquist, the day they acquired him, they played Detroit in Detroit. So they were probably like, hey, can we bring this guy back with us? And, that's not to say that any of the teams the Sharks are playing this week are going to trade with the Sharks, but you never know. It might help grease the wheel.
And I'll be real interested to see how many scouts are on the list for the game on Tuesday versus Florida.
The Sharks, well, here's the thing. It's funny that you say that. The Sharks had a scout or have a scout in LA for their game tonight against Florida.
Hey, now. Makes you wonder. I swear to God, if they bring back Joe fucking Thornton.
Don't put that out there, dude.
Let's get to stock up, stock down. Look, for me, it's obvious. Number one on the stock up, EK. Comes back after missing 15. 2 primary helpers. Post game after the first game against LA, he jokes about 25 minutes being too much time on ice. The second game, he calls the shorthanded goal a clusterfuck. So, EK smiling, making some funny faces. Not once over the last 2 games did I hear anybody scream, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So, EK, yes, you have stock up for me. You spent a lot of time talking about it, so I'm not even getting into it. But Barabanov, stock up for me. Goal and 2 assists this week.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 points in 2 games, good week. He seems, and they mentioned it on the broadcast too. He seems, I don't want to insinuate that he might have been dealing with something, but he seems, specifically the second game against LA, he seemed much more comfortable being like crafty with what he was trying to do and trying to make things happen. And I think that's an asset that he brings, and
a little confidence creeping in.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine, if you will, imagine a second line of Steven Stamkos and Anthony Cirelli, and then you put our buddy little Barabanov out there. That could be something fun.
That's right. Confidence, like that shit. I'm going out by myself. Fuck friends.
Yeah. I think. If you got one more, go for it. I have one more that came to my mind.
Adin Hill, I got to give him some stock up. You come back after missing so much time. He has not had a good season.
He's been decent.
He's been decent. He's had spots where you go, okay, I can, see that maybe this is something for the future. And then he shits the bed, and you're kind of like, oh, shit, now what do we do? And somebody pointed it out earlier in the show on the chat where they're like, one day he's Martin Jones, the next day he's Adin Hill. So for him to miss that much time and to come back, especially with the threat of Stalock behind him, but to come back and throw up a shutty, just like way to just fucking kick open the doors and be like, I'm back, bitches.
Well, and I'll tell you what, too. I don't want to say his record is like impressive or anything, but decent stats for how bad his record is. Mm-hmm. So that kind of makes you wonder, a goal here, a goal there. Maybe his record looks a bit differently. You know what I mean?
You mean a go well?
The only other one, actually, I had 2. They're very quick. One is Vlasic. Only because I don't feel like I've seen him do anything like super egregiously bad lately. So good for him, I guess. And I kind of alluded to it earlier, but stock up, Bobby Bob Bugner, solely for putting Couture, Dahlin, and Meyer back together.
Cheers to
That's
that.
it. That's how low the bar is here.
Hey now, so stock down. Dzingel. I mean, you come in and play a couple games, get 1 goal, and 2 healthy scratches, and bye.
I'm kind of surprised Toronto didn't snag him back up off of waivers, but I imagine the fact that they didn't tells me that they want to keep the roster spot and the cap space open for any potential trade deadline trades.
Gotcha. Yeah. Isn't that why the Sharks probably waived him as well?
Yeah, I mean, LeBanc is close for one, and you've got guys who are getting healthy. I mean, Dahlin was on the injured reserve. He came back. Same thing with Erik Karlsson and Magna. So you had guys who were coming off the injured reserve, and you needed the room for them. But I don't know. I still think the big one is LeBanc. I don't know that LeBanc is going to play on Tuesday, but he's closer.
He's close to being close.
Yeah, I would say if he can, if he can get in there, maybe that Western Canada road trip, maybe he gets back in. I could see that. Coming up 22nd, 24th of March.
Hey now. Stock down for me. The local stations, NBC Bay Area, KTVU, they barely acknowledged the Sharks' existence during any point during the season, but a fight breaks out at a game, and they got stories on it on TV. They add it to their webpage. It's on their social media. Seriously, get bent. We're only going to pay attention when something bad happens. F you. Serious. And stock down to the officials in Detroit the other night that stopped Nedeljevic and Talbot from throwing hands. Dude.
Would have been sweet.
You saw the replay, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. And, dude, it was just a hell of a goddamn night that it was. You had Detroit and Minnesota just wanting to kill each other. And if I remember correctly, there was another. Oh, it was Buffalo-Vegas. I mean, those were 2 games that were like going on simultaneously. Everybody, there was just so much amount of hate. It was fun to watch. I'm just saying. Any other stock downs for you? They don't have to be Shark specific. I only called out Dzingel. Is anybody like what you want to stock down for Shimmick for like not figuring out how to get back? I think we've lost Jerk, everybody.
Sorry, I was muted. I would say the only other stock down for me would probably be, and I hate to even say it because it's not like he's done anything bad, right? But I would say stock down Joe Will, only because he has not called up John Leonard yet.
I'm sorry, who?
Joe Will.
Yeah. Do you think sometime between now and the end of the week we might see John Leonard? I mean, Chief just had like 5 goals in like 3 games or something, including a hat trick?
He's been on a crazy run lately. Something like I want to say 25 points in his last 25 games. Like he's been on it. Like he's been the Barracuda's best player.
Man, and if you're healthy, scratching Gregor.
I think based on that alone, I think he should get a call up. But especially, if we see, we could potentially see, 8 days from now, we could potentially see Hertl, Barabanov, and Cogliano all traded away.
Ooh.
You're gonna need somebody in there.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what Jerk is trying to tell you is like versus Florida this week, prepare for that 4th line of Reedy, Weatherby, and Leonard.
That'd be fun.
I'm just saying. So let's move on. Stats, it's largely the same shit. We talked about it earlier. Pretty decent power play this week. 4 for I want to say 8. And so last time I looked, 50% on the power play, good. And 4 for 4 on the PK. Again, when your PK is killing 100%, I don't know about you. I think the NHL looks at that positively. I can't be
yes. Sure. I got something interesting from the module.
Whip it out.
So for those who don't know, we added a little bit what we call a modifier to the module, and basically what it is you essentially get like a little like a bonus if your goal was a power play penalty killer, game winner, that kind of deal. So Timo Meier's got 25 goals this year. 14 of them were, 14 of his 25 goals got a modifier. Some of them have actually gotten 2 modifiers because they were power play game winner, so he's scoring in all situations. I don't think you need me to tell you that, but that's something that I noticed. The top 3, still the top 3. Barabanov, though, he's banging on Dahlin's door. Only 3 goals behind him and 5 module points behind him. So
I'm gonna call it now. If Barabanov remains a Shark throughout the end of the season, I say Barabanov overtakes Dahlin.
We'll see. I mean, that's not that difficult of a challenge. Dahlin's at 12 goals, Barabanov's at 9. But
Dahlin's
been
overtakes him in the module, but could potentially at goals. But then again, Dahlin, after missing a little time, all of a sudden Dahlin last couple games looked pretty decent.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I said before. I think he's played his best hockey, I believe, with Couture and with Meier, and so that's why I give Bob props for putting that trio back together, and it's worked out. A goal and 2 points in his last 2 games, goal and an assist. I want to see. I mean, like, I really am still very hyped about the potential of what Dahlin could be. Like, I know there's that urge from Bob's perspective to move him down the lineup, scratch him, do whatever kind of stuff. I just leave him up there and sort of let him figure it out. With good players, you have to let them figure out their issues. You know what I mean? Like, I think I would just leave Dahlin up there. That trio has obviously been very well. He's played his best hockey this year with that trio. Maybe that's something we'll do for next week. We'll go back and we'll see, of Dahlin's 12 goals, how many of them came while he was on that line. That would be an interesting thing to look at.
I like that. Let's hit up a comment in the chat from our beautiful friend Sharks Lass. Just in case, hoping if you know how likely we'll see Jumbo on Tuesday. I know he was on IR, but wondering if he'd be traveling with the team. Think we'll even see him peek out from the tunnel on Tuesday when Florida's here. I will tell you this, the latest that I've seen, and this is from earlier today, Florida Panthers coach Andrew Burnett says that Thornton is close to a return to the lineup. That's it. He's close to a return. You would think that Jumbo would be like, look, let me just play the San Jose game and then I'll sit out the next 3. You know what I mean? I want to see my tribute video, goddammit. But I mean, at the very least, if he's got to be in the building.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing you saw today, that he is close, and I believe, I want to say it was George
Richards.
George Richards, who covers the Panthers for Florida Hockey Now. He was saying that there is a possibility that the fact that Tuesday's game is against the Sharks, maybe that kind of tips the scale a little bit, where he's closer than he would be if it was somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I plan on being there, so we'll see what we'll see what happens. But
hopefully, you don't have to beat anyone with a stick to get a warm-up puck.
What's a warm-up puck? I'm just saying. Mitch, stop buying them all. Okay. So, look, here we are. Hertl updates, there aren't any. We're a week away from the trade deadline. He's still a Shark. Will he be one in a week from now? We'll see. Same goes for Barabanov. Same goes for Middleton, who is suddenly having a lot of talk surrounding him.
You know what? I really have enjoyed Middleton this year. He's been found money, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
But the thing with Jake Middleton is he was drafted by, funnily enough, drafted by the LA Kings. Not many people know that. And never signed an entry-level deal with them. And, joined the Barracuda, got an NHL deal with the Sharks. And one of those guys, similar to Barclay Goodrow, right? Chipped away, worked his way up. And, he's proven to be, at least for this year, he's proven to be a legitimate NHL defenseman. And I think considering the work he's put in and considering you only had to give up money to get him and now you could potentially get an asset for him, that's something that I think that Joe Will needs to think about, especially if they don't see Middleton in their long-term plans. I mean, if they want to make the playoffs next year, maybe they do see Middleton in their long-term plans. But if it's a 5-year slash and burn kind of thing, I don't know.
And I mean, we kind of talked about it with Dzingel. It just makes me wonder, like, how much space are the Sharks looking at freeing up if they want to facilitate those deals like they did. Who was it? Janmark with Vegas last year.
Matthias Janmark with Vegas and Nick Foligno with Toronto.
Yeah. So
that business, they got 2 4th-round picks out of it.
Hey, picks are good
for paying money.
Picks are what your third favorite, just underneath cap space.
Yeah, big fan.
And then like a player that can go now.
No, and I think especially the type of owner that the Sharks have, right? Somebody who's very involved, at least in terms of like spending money to make things happen, that sort of thing. Like it makes too much sense based on that fact. It makes too much sense to like get involved again. And they got, like I said, they got the 4th-round pick for helping out with Nick Foligno. That turned into Ethan Cardwell, who's had a good year, obviously. And they got another pick out of it. I can't recall off the top of my head what round it was, but they helped broker 2 deals last year. And when you're in the position the Sharks are in, you're trying to accumulate young talent. You'll take as many picks as you can get, right?
Sure.
I mean, and right now they've got 3 7th. I mean, that's kind of their money right there. But a first, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. I mean, depending on who gets traded. I mean, if Hertl and Barabanov go, like that's going to be, obviously the top end of the draft. They're going to stack picks, but if they move somebody like Cogliano, maybe that's a 5th-round pick. If they help broker some deals, you pick up some 4ths and some 5ths, and that's kind of the way that you got to do business now. You know what I mean? You have to be, especially with the way the pandemic is going, like you have to be flexible. You have to be creative. You have to be willing to do super unconventional things. I feel like prior to the pandemic, or not even that, prior to the last few years, I think there were like a very small handful of 3-way deals. And now, especially with the pandemic, I feel like we've seen so many 3-way deals like on a year-to-year basis. So if I'm the Sharks, I get involved. They got $5.4 million in cap space right now, and that's, if you prorate that for the deadline, that's $27 million. I mean, they can take on a lot of guys. Help teams out. Especially you look at
My mind is so not in this right now. It's like I'm hearing like you got to be flexible, be able to put yourself in many positions, take on a lot of guys. I'm like, are we talking about August Ames again?
Oh my God. But you look at some of the players who are available. The one that comes to mind is Claude Giroux. Everything that I've read and heard is that the big sticking point on Claude Giroux is the fact that his cap hit is so high. Like even with Philadelphia retaining 50%, like the teams that are interested might not be able to make that work,
Julio says, but if you're not rebuilding, then why would you trade your good young talent for picks that might not even pan out until a few years? It happens.
I want to answer that question, but I'm trying to understand it.
I feel you.
Julio,
we need clarification.
Can you pop that up again? I just want to give it a quick read.
Sure, whip it out. So,
if you're not rebuilding, why would you trade your
good young talent for picks?
I think he's referring to Middleton. I mean, here's the thing with Middleton. Middleton is 26. Like, he's a good player. I wouldn't say he's a good young player. Like, Middleton is a player that if the Sharks are going full rebuild, Middleton's a player you trade away. Just from the perspective of by the time the Sharks are good again, he might be like 30. And from the perspective of he's obviously, at least for this year, is an appreciated asset. If somebody wants to pay up for it, you take it.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at that.
Ricky coming in. Who would a dead cap kind of guy on a lineup that would make the Sharks roster? Who would
the
be
one
him?
the one that I keep going back to, and a lot of this stems from the Minnesota Wild having interest in Tomas Hertl. I kind of look at it as like, and again, if I'm Joe Will and say Minnesota, if I'm Joe Will and Minnesota presents the best option for me in terms of a Tomas Hertl trade return, they've got the $4 million Victor Rask buried in the AHL. I'm taking that on. Number one, you'll get more out of it. And number two, it makes the trade easier for Minnesota to make happen. So that's the kind of thing. I mean, you look at all these teams who are rumored to be in on Hertl, and you kind of have to look at, okay, do they have a guy making a lot of money who's maybe not bringing a lot to the table? Or maybe do they have a guy who's injured that, or just a guy who's been healthy scratch that hasn't really worked out? But the one, like I said, the one I keep going back to is Victor Rask. Like, I think if the Sharks, and this, we're speaking very hypothetically, if the Sharks do end up trading Tomas Hertl to Minnesota, I would be surprised if Victor Rask is not included in that deal, just because he's a $4 million player that's buried in the AHL, and he's going to be a UFA, so it doesn't affect the Sharks at all.
For sure. Let's move on. Shane had an interesting one this week. Says he talked to some peeps and said, you can't blame Bob. Injuries and lack of talent aren't Bob's fault. Look, we know that Bob has one more year.
Poor deployment is Bob's fault.
Yeah, exactly. But what was it? Some former coach said something that, he's been given chicken shit and told to make chicken salad out of it. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I mean, do you let him just play out this final year, try to bring some more cohesiveness to the room, try to get the boat pointed back north? And
I think I don't see Bob, depending on what you may think should happen, I don't see Bob Boughner getting fired. I think if the Sharks are a good team next year, then they'll extend him. And if they're not a good team, then they'll just let the contract expire and move on. I don't see them firing him.
So okay. So then that brings up the ask of how motivated are players to play for a lame duck coach. Like, if you know your coach is on the last year of his deal, he hasn't gotten an extension. It's kind of like, you're not going to be here next year. Fuck, do I need to listen to you for?
Well, I think it depends on how they feel about the coach. If Bob is someone that they like, they like as a person, they like playing for.
It seems like they do.
Then they will play for him, even though he is going to expire. But we saw, I go back to 2014-15. There were a handful of Sharks players who got sick of Todd McClellan, and we know how that season went.
Mm-hmm. Well, Shane also had an interesting take saying contracts actually aren't the problem. It was fun listening to some of the stuff you said, because it was stuff that you and I have either talked about ad nauseum previously or wrote articles about. We got to do a show with them soon. But Shane basically said, look, the Sharks suck because their 13 through 16 drafting was atrocious. I mean, if you look at it, just games played out of that, it's a fucking tire fire. I think that's one of the reasons why we see Doug Wilson Jr. in there now instead of Tim Burke. Because let's be honest, we've said it before. Like, Tim Burke, I think, got the the heave promotion. He got the heave promo. I want to say about 3-4 years too late.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, you look at. To Shang's point, you look at the Sharks roster, right? I mean, they had to go out, they had to sign Bonino, sign Cogliano, they had to bring back Matt Nieto, they had to claim, they had to bring back Balsers, they had to trade for Dahlin, they had to trade for Evander Kane, trade for Erik Karlsson.
And you're making the point is that, over those years, like right now is when those picks should start to blossom and pay off for you, and there aren't any. So exactly what you said, they had to go out and get all these pieces.
Well, and that's the thing. And for those who were participating in the Discord shenanigans last night, Ian was saying it as well, where part of the reason for the Sharks' trouble, specifically with losing Pavelski and losing Nyquist and Donskoy and all this stuff, is that because the drafting in those 3 years you mentioned was so poor, there were no replacements or replenishments waiting in the wings.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's goddamn tragic. Okay, so I see this going around, and so I wanted to this is another one of like Jerks 101 hockey, or like Jerk explains. We need to come up with this segment where I can just cut it, clip it, and anytime somebody asks, I can go, okay, here, just listen to this. Here's Jerk explaining it. Fucking deal with it. So we all know that Timo's deal is over after next season.
Correct.
But everybody is losing their shit over the $10 million qualifying offer. And, the Sharks are going to have to pay him $10 million, and we're not going to have any money because in the Ferraro, and what if you get Hertl and all these things. Can you please just enlighten us about, like, what the hell that means?
So the $10 million qualifying offer basically, and the rules have since changed. When they came out with the CBA extension before the bubble 2 years ago, they changed this rule. But obviously, all contracts pre-extension, they still follow the old rule. That being that with a restricted free agent, you have to send them their qualifying offer, and you need to send a qualifying offer to retain their rights as a restricted free agent. The qualifying offer is a 1-year deal with a cap hit of the salary in the final year of the previous deal, in this case $10 million. Now, in your show notes here, you put, what's the benefit? Well, the benefit is if Timo Meier doesn't like playing in San Jose, he can take the qualifying offer, which would be a 1-year deal at $10 million, and then walk himself to unrestricted free agency. That is the worst case scenario, if you ask me. The realistic case scenario, I don't know if that's an expression, but it is now. The realistic case scenario,
Brett Hedican over here,
is that, okay, and you think about it, by all accounts, Timo Meier likes being in San Jose. He wants to be in San Jose. He wants to win with San Jose. I don't think I'm out of school by saying that. From that perspective, you want to stay in San Jose. Would you take a 1-year deal at $10 million and rock the boat, make people unhappy, and potentially not get to stay in San Jose? Or do you say, you know what, I'm going to negotiate something that's for less money on a yearly salary, but more years? Would you take 1 year of $10 million or, $49 million over 7 years?
There you go.
And it all depends on it, because if he hates San Jose, then take it and bail. That's his prerogative. But if he wants to be in San Jose, and by all accounts he does, I don't even give the qualifying offer a second thought. And we talked about this a month or so ago. If I'm the Sharks, I would be trying to lock up Timo Meier as soon as he's eligible for an extension, which would be July 13th of this year, because he's playing really well this year. I don't again, similar to what I said before, you don't need me to tell you that, right? Yeah. But you look at obviously what he's done this year. I mean, he's setting career highs in virtually everything. He's on pace for 82 points in 77 games. Myself personally, I would sign him as soon as I can, because what if he comes back next year? What if he puts up 100 points?
Dude, and he was killing it for quite some time this season. And Ian saying he'd still be RFA again if he just took the QO.
I'm not going to say Ian is incorrect, but how I understood it is that the QO would walk him to UFA. I would need to double check. I can't say.
All right. So for more details, join us in Discord following the conclusion of this program tonight.
Hey, no kidding.
And you can hear the lovely back and forth between them. A couple more things here. Has anyone noticed that the top 4 teams in the Pacific Division are all coached by former Sharks coaches? Things that make you go,
That's going to be that's the selling point for giving Roy Sommer a chance.
You shut your whore mouth. Oh, man. Let's move on to the little guys.
Pointed out in the chat. Ian conceded to me.
Oh, there you go. Never mind age. Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. Take the win like a man, buddy.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
All right. Let's talk about those other cats.
Ooh, Barracuda.
So we had a cool little exclusive on Teal Town, USA this week. Barracuda made a lot of announcements. One of which was, so they got the new barn that's going to be opening for next season. Ticket prices have gone up a couple bucks across the board. And look, first off, for the people that are bitching about the price increase, fuck is your problem? You're getting a brand new building. You've been paying under value for the last 5 years, and then you're going to complain that tickets go up a couple bucks. Yet you're getting an entirely brand new barn that's going to be all yours. You don't have to be in that cavern of SAP when there's only 1,200 fans in there. Like, this is going to be your barn. So suck it up. Seriously. There's going to be a lot of changes coming to that entire facility. Food and beverage and promotions, all sorts of stuff that are going on. Check out the article on tealtownusa.com for more information. But, of course, the real cool points of it were that they are in negotiations to get at least 8 to 10 games televised, which would be really nice.
Nice.
They haven't put pen to paper yet, so they can't announce anything, but they said it is a network that most fans probably are already used to watching. So for me, I'm going, well, that's probably means that the network that they already watch Sharks games on.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm just going to speculate that. And they're saying 8 to 10 games. Well, there's at least 8 to 10 times that the Barracuda play when the Sharks aren't playing. So no conflict. You hear me? And finally, though, the biggest news of the day was there's going to be 3 new Barracuda jerseys next season, a home, away, and alternate, and evidently going to be some slight tweaks to the Barracuda logo. So I'm excited to see what happens. Now, Ian pointing out, price increases after losing seasons always sting. And I completely agree with you, but I think they can get away with it simply because, look, you're finally getting a new barn, and who are some of the names that could be playing in that new barn next season? Is that a Weisblatt? Is that a Gushkin? Is that a Tristan Robbins? It could be an entertaining season next year. They could be kind of sucking right now, but be a lot better. Who's to say that the time that Sachenko experiences now playing with the Sharks, and who knows how much longer that's going to last, but maybe that helps him be a better goaltender when he has to go back with the CUDA. All I'm saying is, you're getting all this cool new stuff, and then you're going to complain about the price. It's like, give me a break. But that's just me. Let's go around the NHL. There's only one story that I give a shit about. The Vegas Golden Knights, I believe, are now 4-9-1 since Mark Stone went on IR. And 2 of those wins came against the Sharks. The other
Absolutely incredible.
Dude, the other 2 came against Anaheim and Ottawa. Not exactly world beaters. So it's like you won 4 games, and the 3 teams that you beat, none of them are in a playoff position.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you look, they're on a 4-game losing streak, 3-7-0 in their last 10. I mean, it's
kicking the balls.
The wheels have blown off of the show here, and I don't know. We talked about this before. Obviously, we take pleasure in the Golden Knights being bad. I think we both agree on that.
Yes.
But as somebody like you, somebody like myself, somebody like Ian, we are big fans of roster building.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we jumped on, to do the show, AJ and I spent a good 10, 15 minutes saying, well, if I'm Vegas, I'm trading for this guy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and da-da-da-da-da. And so
Well, job one is find a goddamn goaltender.
Yeah, and I think, losing streaks, I think, make for exciting roster building conversations.
Absolutely. And what's funny is Julio's in the chat right now saying, hopefully Vegas gets swept in the first round. That's if they make the playoffs, brah. And right now, not looking too good. And, I don't know if you remember, you go back to the beginning of the season when we first, I don't know if it was during the Pacific Division preview or very early on when we were kind of making our picks of where we saw certain teams finishing. I specifically remember saying, look, you got rid of your Vezina winning goaltender, put all your eggs in Robin Leonard's basket. And my whole thing is, what if he has a collapse? What if he gets hurt? And, well, it's happening. So, and the schedule, go look at Vegas's schedule. Doesn't get too much easier over the net. Okay, they have to, I think they get like a back-to-back against Seattle. Okay, so that's nice, but they still have games against Colorado. There's divisional games. It's going to be a tough road to hoe, my friend. And if I remember correctly, I think they play 3 of 4 against Vancouver, who are so close to getting them. Like, what are the standings right now? Vancouver, 3 points
back.
3 points back with 2 games in hand. And Vancouver is currently playing, although last I looked, they were down 2-0 for
they're still losing.
Yeah, so okay, Vancouver not exactly taking advantage of the opportunity given. But ooh boy, if Vancouver finds a way to come back tonight, dude, 1 point back. Ooh.
With a game in hand and 3 games against them.
Yeah, like, hey, now talk about a recipe for success
or a recipe for disaster, depending on which team you're looking at. You mentioned Fleury. I saw something.
Dude, everybody's saying
curious.
Toronto, man.
Toronto, yeah, I think Toronto's an option just because Jack Campbell was struggling and then he got hurt, and Mrazek has been struggling. So yeah, Toronto I think makes a lot of sense. It's hilarious. I think Vegas makes a lot of sense. The Capitals I think make a lot of sense. But what I saw today, and I feel bad. I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe I want to say it was The Athletic, but I guess the understanding is that Chicago is kind of leaving it in Fleury's hands. Basically, okay, do you want to trade? Do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to stay here? Whatever you want, we're going to accommodate it.
And it sounds like Fleury is comfortable there.
It's because he doesn't he considered retiring at the thought of having to move his family from Vegas to Chicago. He doesn't want to move his family again. Yeah. That's the big thing. And already got 3 Stanley Cups. But what I saw this morning or this afternoon, Chicago is hoping, if they do trade him, they're hoping to get a first-round pick for him.
And does Toronto have?
No.
Oh, shit.
Or actually, they do, but...
that still seems like a hell of an ask.
Well, the thing, so Toronto's not trading their first-round pick for a rental. Toronto would only trade their first for somebody who's here beyond this year. But the thing with Fleury that stands out to me is, Fleury, he gets by on his reputation.
Yeah, he's last I looked, like the last couple of weeks, not setting the world on fire.
Well, he's very similar to Adin Hill. He's got good stats despite how bad his record is.
Gotcha.
And I think any playoff team who needs a goalie would be smart to go after Fleury. I personally wouldn't give up a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, but you know what? The pressure of a fan base can make you make dumb decisions. Yeah.
Well, and even, I mentioned the Capitals, right? I mean, you look at the Capitals. They're in a playoff. They're going to make the playoffs this year, but they are, they're getting by with, I don't want to say suspect goaltending, but inexperienced goaltending.
Man, and what fan base is salivating for playoff success more than Toronto?
No kidding.
So, anyway, we'll throw it out for a few more questions here. If you got them, toss them. But we got a couple more things to take care of. One of which is the winner of this Sharky jersey, giveaway. And this is fun. If you remember last week, the question was, The Sharks, in their history, have had 4 primary songs that are played when the Sharks score. And I said that spelling counted. You had to spell the name of the song correctly, the name of the artist correctly. And despite several submissions, only 1 pulled it off.
2, I got it right.
Okay.
I'm also not eligible, worth saying.
So, but there was a couple people that they submitted 3 out of 4, I guess hoping to get lucky with that. There were a couple people, though, that did get all 4, but out of like the 5 people that submitted all 4 correctly, only 1 spelled them all correctly. And that person is, and I almost disqualified this person just because their Twitter handle sucks. I don't even know how to do it. N as in Nancy, NPEAEN returns. So is that supposed to be like a hyphenation of Napoleon or something?
Could be.
Napian something? But anyway, NPEAEN returns. So we're going to be hitting you up, sending you the DM with the congratulations. We'll get your mailing information and get that out to you. So again, we have hello. We have 2 of these. There you go. So 1 now spoken for. Big winner. So the next one is on deck. I was kidding earlier about the Saturday thing. I'm just fucking pressed about that. Jerk and I are going to put our minds together and come up with another question that, you know, a longtime Sharks fan would probably be aware of, and not that somebody could just easily like Google the question and get the answer in 5 seconds. So we're going to have that for you next week. Speaking of next week, with 24 games left as of now, the next time we speak with you, we're going to be catching you up on 4 Sharks games with a, holy shit, another After Dark takeover? Really?
Hey, at least the game is at 4:00, so
true that.
We'll get an early start. But you know, please don't adjust your sets. Pucknologists going early next week.
Going a little early, but I'm afraid maybe running late, depending, you know, the fact of the matter that it's
no
like,
kidding.
What? It's going to be like 15 hours before the deadline?
Dude, how epic would it be?
Oh, if some big trade happens during the show.
Yeah, the show starts 30 to 45 minutes before normal time, and yet we finish at the same time.
Oh, shit. No, or, you know what would be really bad is the show starts early, we do our normal run or whatever, and like 30 minutes after we're done, all of a sudden, Hertl traded to...
Jesus.
Well, okay, fire it up again,
on.
Steve.
Yeah, we'd have to go back online.
Steven, fire it back up.
Yep.
Oh, so anyway, it could be quite a packed show with games against the Panthers. Of course, preeminently Joe Thornton's return. We'll find out. L.A. Oh, Jesus Christ, L.A. again? Colorado and the Desert Dogs, who, boy, Randy Hahn was having fun with last night bringing that up.
Well, Coyotes are on a little run. I mean, 6-4-0 in their last 10.
Dude, and they're not beating also Rans. Well, because they're like the worst team in the league. So anybody they beat is impressive, right? It's not like they're playing Montreal every day.
Right.
So the fact that, Arizona's caught a little fire here. I've been, not the walk in the park that it's been for most teams. So we're going to catch you up on all of that. Plus, again, hours away from the deadline. Let's check in on our dark horse picks, which we have done, of course, all season long. Jerks Canucks, currently a record of 29-23-7 for 65 points and 5th in the Pacific. I mentioned it earlier, 3 points out, but last we checked, down 2-0 to Tampa. And
about to get a power play.
Yeah, Canucks on the power play, and they are just about midway through this game. Well, no, okay, that's bullshit. They're like 4 minutes into the second. But anyway, we'll see if the Canucks record improves. I totally hope it does tonight. So you got to appreciate that. Now, my Kings, look, little bit better, 32, 20, and 8 for 72 points, so 7 points better and second in the division. There's 7 points from the top. But holy shit, you heard us talk about it earlier, man. The Kings are just getting killed by injuries right now. So in a couple weeks, boy, it wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden, we see Jerk pay or put the money down on the long shot and the fucking thing pays off. I mean, holy crap, dude, sleeping giant in your Vancouver Canucks there, sir. Woo.
Well, you just, when you got a feeling, you got to take it, right?
Oh, man, I'm telling you. So the Ian bet, look, we're still here. Start threshold has been met, but the save percentage is still 900, although that is an improvement off of the 897 we quoted last week. So barring Jones, throwing shutouts for the next 5 games straight, I don't know that it's going to crack 915, but we'll see. Jones did throw up a 943 last night.
In a loss.
Yeah. So, let's see. I know that Jones has, I should say the Flyers, they got a lot of back-to-back games to finish this season. So Jones is going to get some more looks. Let's see if that fucker gets lucky. And then it leads to all of us being lucky except Ian.
I think what's even though I'm of the belief that his hair will be safe, but I think it's absolutely incredible that since he made this bet, he has not gotten a haircut on the chance that he does have to do it.
Are you serious? I had no idea. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that is so cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that. Oh, wouldn't that be fantastic? Either way, his wife's got to be pissed. So finally, we bring you the tweet of the week. And you know what? Not necessarily the tweet of the week per se, but let's just say, I don't know, the haymaker of the week, the troll of the week. We give to you now, live from Buffalo, following a loss to his former team, Jack Eichel's comments.
That's about the loudest I've heard this place ever. Really, after it only took 7 years of me leaving for them to get into the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was mixed. It was a nice tribute, and there was plenty of people here that were supporting me, and there was plenty of people here that were booing me. So they must just be booing me because they wish I was still here. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not the first kid to deal with it, so just move on. And yeah, it was a tough game. Give them credit; they played hard.
Oh, dude. It took me leaving for them to be into hockey. Dude, that's they were already booing you. And now here's the thing that I don't understand. I don't understand Buffalo fans booing Eichel. Maybe they're booing him because, okay, he's a fucking diva, he's a whiny bitch, whatever, and fuck that guy. Glad to be rid of him. But it's dude, wasn't his beef, I don't know anything about this, but wasn't his beef with the front office? He wanted a particular medical procedure, and the front office said, no, we don't care for that.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, then I'm going to fucking find a team who will let me do this because it's what I believe in.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, they disagreed on the type of procedure he should have gotten, so he basically spent, he basically spent 8 months sitting at home, injured and untreated because they couldn't agree on the surgery. And
I like Dana here. He left because he wanted his fucking neck to work.
That's an excellent point, Dana.
Dig it.
But
dude, I'm just telling you now, Dana, when Jerk has to take the last week of the season off, you might be subbing in. and it's not a coincidence either that the neck surgery that he wants is happened I think 3 days after he was traded there. Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, just the fact that it's kind of look, his beef was with the front office, so to throw shade at the fans, I thought was a little misplaced, made him look kind of like a whiny bitch.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Certainly the next time that Vegas plays.
But what does he care? He's not on the team anymore.
Oh, I know, but it's like he could have handled it a little bit differently and say, hey,
Sure.
it was great to see the Buffalo fans that passionate or whatever, and and I had a good time when I was here. Like, you could have been the class act about it, but no, you were kind of a whiny bitch, and it pretty much guaranteed that anytime you ever set foot in that building, it's going to be even worse next time.
Yeah, he's never going to hear the end of it.
Yeah, so enjoy it because it's going to be around for a while.
Hope it was worth it.
Yeah, it's like you know that you have to play there once a year. And how long is your fucking contract for?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got 4 years after this year.
Hey now. So the next 4 times he plays, I'm going to be jotting those games down on my calendar. I don't know about you. Like, I want to watch that. So it felt good. You can follow him at hockey_jerk. You can follow me at AJ_strong. And remember, as always, leave your take in the comments section of this YouTube video if you were not able to join us live. Famous last words, and if you have, famous last words for Hockey Jerk, and this is last call for any Q&A that you would like to tackle. So, Jerk, we'll start with you.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Man.
Hertl, don't leave me, motherfucker.
I mean, next week,
could be 30
right?
minutes, could be 30 hours.
That's it, right? That's it. We obviously next week is not our last show of the season, but it certainly could be the last important show of the season. It could be the last memorable show of the season. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. And for those of you who are aware that I have done some custom jerseys, the Hertl ones might be half price in a week.
So it's this week specifically is going to be really huge. Like I said, it was reported in The Athletic today that the Sharks are hoping for an answer on Hertl by Wednesday or Thursday. And again, that's not to say that he's going to re-sign or be traded by Wednesday or Thursday, but I think that's when the wheels are going to be in motion one way or the other, right? So we'll see. Obviously, we need to see, we'll see with Barabanov, we'll see with Middleton. A lot of people are sleeping on Cogliano, but he, any cup team that needs some good fourth line depth, I would take a chance on him. Why the hell not?
We've been saying this forever. How long have people been sleeping on Barabanov? And they continue to do so.
Yeah.
So
I'm just glad, people are sleeping on Barabanov, people are sleeping on Cogliano. Thankfully, people aren't sleeping on Middleton, but we'll see. It's going to be very interesting.
Let me throw a question from the chat from Ricky saying, have you guys looked at the dollar amount for the Vlasic buyout? Do you think it's buyout proof?
So,
my first inclination is yes. I would, because there's still so much left on it, I would lumber through one more year, and it's like you're about to become the highest paid 7th D-man in NHL history.
Yeah, I think so. If you buy him out this summer, you're looking at an 8-year commitment where you've got 5-year in terms of the buyout penalty, and this is obviously not in order of the years that they would occur, but you've got 5 years of 1 million and some change, and then you got a year of 3.6, a year of 4.1, and a year of 5.1.
Yeah, that's those
obviously
kicking the balls.
All those numbers are lower than 7 million.
But still,
you don't need me to tell you that. But with the way the cap is not moving the way everybody projected, that is a hard pill to swallow for not having a guy in your organization. To AJ's point, if you wait a year, you're looking at a 6-year commitment, and it's 4 years of 1 in some change, and then you've got a $4 million commitment and a $5 million commitment. Maybe, and again, I'm just thinking out loud here, but maybe if you do go through next year and then trigger a buyout, maybe the salary cap is in a position by then where you can accommodate that. They at the Board of Governors meeting, I think in November, they were saying 82.5 for next year, 83.5 for 2 years from now, and then 3 years from now will be when the wheels are in motion for the big cap increases again. And 3 years from now would be the year of this Vlasic buyout where the $4 million penalty comes into play. So maybe it's a situation where they think about it. I don't think this summer, but maybe next summer 2023, maybe that's when they think about it.
Yep.
Also worth mentioning, Kane coming off the books.
Yep.
Certainly helps that as well. They can afford to buy him out should they choose to. So we'll see. I mean, obviously there's still things to be decided with the Kane situation, but a lot of balls are in the air, I think.
Yeah. I say you suck it up one more year, and again, you basically tell him you're going to be unless you get your shit together, you're going to be the highest paid 7th defenseman in NHL history. That's it.
Right.
Or we can try to find a place to move you, but the whole thing is like, well, fuck, they're going to have to eat salary on that too. In order to, no one's taking him at that deal. So it is what it is. All right, some final hits on the comments, and we're going to bounce everybody. Ian agreeing, he says, yeah, do one more year, decided direction, and jettison it. It's the signing bonuses that are the issue with the buyouts.
Right, because the signing bonuses are guaranteed money. That's the issue.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Ricky has one. Let's watch how fast Jerk has fun with this. To me, it isn't even worth buying out. Just bury him in the minors for the 1.25 savings and see if he retires out of pride.
I mean,
if you waived him,
that's highly, highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Because you send him to the minors, and then he says, "This is disrespectful. I'm not showing up," and then you suspend him. What does that do?
True that. A PR nightmare too.
Yeah.
With a team that already has some PR nightmares with another player. So, and speaking of which, Puck Guy asking, do the Sharks find out soon about any Kane penalty on the cap space? Dude, if we haven't found out about it now, I think they're just going to kick the can until the fucking season's over, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. They terminated Kane's deal in November, and
we are.
And the hearing hasn't even been scheduled.
Yeah.
As far as I know. So, it's probably a situation where they wait till the summer, but I wonder if it just gets to a point where, it just, especially if Kane can rehab his NHL image somehow enough to get another deal, it might not matter. And, Ian and Phipps pointing out Vlasic has a no-move clause. You can't waive him without his permission.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can't send him to the minors without his permission.
Yeah. So, trade-proof fucking deal.
But also, and Phipps also saying he's not like, okay, say what you want about any player's pride and their desire to be somewhere and their skill level. Like, why would Vlasic be like, you know what? Keep the $20 million. Like, why would he do that?
Yeah. I don't see him like being that generous of a tipper.
Yeah.
Ugh. Famous last words for me. I'm just going to take a minute. I don't do this very often. But I'm going to get a little personal. I didn't want to do the show tonight, to be honest. It was a very hard day for me. I do say goodbye to a cat that I've had since 2004. It's just been my ride or die dude. Chip was he was the biggest love bug. He was just, if I was chilling on the couch, he'd sidle up right next to me and was just groovy dude. There are some cats that are standoffish and they're kind of like, yeah, I guess I'll kind of be affectionate today or whatever. No, Chip was part dog some days. I called him, he would come. The last couple years for him were really hard. We might have prolonged his life longer than we should have. probably just out of our own selfishness because we didn't want to say goodbye. But these COVID times, it was actually the benefit that I can say for having COVID. This last 6 months in particular, Chip would literally jump up on my desk every day when I woke up and quote unquote came to work, and he would jump up on my desk and just lay next to me the entire day. And my arms, for the most part, when I'm working, are pretty stagnant. They don't move too much because they're on a keyboard. And he would just use my arm like a pillow and just spend the entire day with me. And that was that's something that I'm always going to remember. So to say goodbye to him earlier today was very difficult, and it was it took a lot. And in fact, my wife, she couldn't even be in the room. She left. So it was a tough day, but we hold on to the memories and we move on. And I know there's some people going, oh my God, what a whiny bitch about his cat. But I'm telling you, when you got the fur babies, they are members of the family and you treat them as such. And, like, I don't mean to play favorites, but Chip and Kayla, for all the cats that we've had, and we still have 4, but Kayla and Chip, those were my cats. Those are they hung out with Toby and Luna, and I more than admit they hang out with Sherry a bit more than me, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it as far as they know. But Chip and Kayla were my ride or die bitches, and so I said goodbye to Kayla almost 2 years ago, and so to say goodbye to Chip today, it was tough. It was a tough time, but hell of a fucking cat, and the guy had an amazing run. So three homes he lived in, and he was just a piece of work. Like loving and always cool. So rest in peace, Chippy. I'm gonna miss you, baby boy. He was just cool dude, cool fucking dude. So with that, do we have? Can somebody tell a joke or some shit so we can like bring the energy back up before before people start like looking for a razor? Just like, wow, really? Way to bum everybody out to finish the show, AJ. Nice going.
Well, it's been a while, but there is an NHL game happening. As the podcast
tell
is
me
wrapping
Vancouver
up.
took the lead.
No, it's still 2-0.
God damn it.
But if anybody is interested, when we slide over to Discord, maybe we'll have that game playing.
Nice.
Though don't tell the NHL.
Yeah, don't tell the NHL. Oh, shit. Fucking Avalanche shut out the Flames. Wow, okay. So, as always, again, thank you for letting me pontificate. No, that's not the right word. Just drone on about Chip. Beloved family member. He was a shit. So anywho, thank you so much again for checking us out and listening to us. We appreciate you guys, that you guys spend your Sunday nights with us every Sunday. Can't say enough about how much we appreciate hanging out with you, talking hockey and other mischievous things. And so if you feel the desire whatsoever, we would appreciate it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, tell a friend about it, follow us on the social media, whichever is your preferred platform, be it Twitter, Insta, Facebook, whatever. And again, if you enjoy the content we deliver, you can always throw a little tip in our Venmo jar. Not required. We just say, hey, you want to help us keep this commercial free? That's one of the ways to do it, because I'm telling you right now, I do not want to fucking be like 40, 50 minutes into a show and then just have to stop everything dead in its tracks to say, hey, do you have too much pubic hair? Here's a device that can help you out. You know what I mean?
Did you see what Ian put in the chat?
What did Ian put? Hold on, what is this? We didn't cancel the reach around for you guys to bring it back. Stop talking about other games, fucknut. Good one, Ian. Love it. So, yeah. Do the subscription, tell a friend, all that fun stuff. The link to the Discord, you can find it in the notes to this show, or just like hit up
Send me a DM on Twitter. That's the best way.
There you go. Hit up Hockey Jerk at hockey_jerk. Hit up the Jerk Man. He is the chief of chiefing when it comes to the Discord. Hit him up and he will hook you up. So find everything and more at tealtownusa.com. And big stick taps to Puck Guy and Ian today for we mentioned earlier Erik Karlsson describing something as a clusterfuck. We had a little bit of that today on the website, but taps to Puck Guy and Ian for fixing that up. So find it all there. You can see us next Sunday. Again, a Pucknologist takeover of After Dark following Sharks versus the Desert Dogs. Hey now, did somebody say Desert Dogs? Yes, we will be prepared next week. And again, there could be a lot of trade talk to get on. So show 156 coming at you following Sharks versus Arizona. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you all next Sunday, everybody. Have a great night.